In this video, I'm going to show you how you can turn your one-channel amp into a multi-channel amp with the Headrush pedalboard. Hey guys, I'm Dr. McFarland and welcome back to the channel. I've been wanting to do this video for a while and I figured, well, let's just set everything up and get cracking at it. So here I am with the Headrush pedalboard here in front of me. I also have the amp 1 from Bluguitar. And what's great about the amp is it has a nano tube in the power section, so you're getting that tube feel from the output, but you're also getting 4 channels in all that range from modern, classic, vintage, and also clean. Now I'm going to treat this amp as a one-channel amp, and then I'm basically going to show you how I can use the Headrush to get a multi-channel sound out of your one-channel amp. Alright, so in the cases of, like, say, like a Marshall JCM 800 or any other high-gain amplifier that really doesn't have multiple channels, or let's say it has a clean and a overdrive channel, but you're just not that happy with the clean sound, but you're in love with the distortion sound that you get from the amp. So let's go ahead and look at what we have on the Headrush, and I'll explain what we're doing with the amp 1 and how we're going to combine them together, okay? Now, this is a continuation of my series called the 4-cable method. You can find it in the Anatomy of Tone playlist, which I'll link right up above me here in the cards. And basically, I have my guitar going to the input of the Headrush, the send of the Headrush going to the input of the amp 1. The send of the effects loop from amp 1 is going to the return of the Headrush, and then the output of the Headrush is going to the return of the amp 1. Now that's very important because when I do not have the effects loop in the chain, I have it bypassed right now. Basically, the send and return of the Headrush is out of the equation, and I'm just simply going guitar to input of Headrush, output of Headrush, straight into the effects return of the amp 1, okay? Now, when I have the effects loop in there, now all the connections are made, and I'm actually sending some effects to the front end of the amp, and my wet effects, like my reverb and delay, going into the effects loop of the amplifier. So that's very important to understand that concept. And if you do, you can do this with any amp setup that you may have there at the house or the studio or rehearsal space or wherever you're at, okay? So here's my signal without the effects loop in the chain. I do not have my amp engaged as well. So this is just my guitar going straight into the effects return of the Bluguitar amp 1. Alright, now you hear I do have some reverb and delay in the chain. So all that stuff is still being passed into the effects return, but I don't have an amp to preamplify my sound. So right now the guitar is just sounding a little dry and dull. There's really nothing there to add character to the overall sound. So now once I engage my Fender amp, check out what happens now. Alright, I'm going to turn off the delay for now so we're not too distracted by all that. I do have a compressor in the chain, so that's going to be on for my clean sounds. And now, if I disengage the amp and turn on the effects loop, now my 4-cable method is complete, and now you're going to hear the preamp sound of the amp. And I have this on the classic channel on the amp 1, and it's meant to mimic a JCM 800. Alright, very cool. And what I can do now is make a few scenes where I can have a clean scene where I have my Fender amp in the chain and the effects loop off, which means I'm bypassing the preamp section of the amp. And then I can have my effects loop on and my Fender amp out of the chain, and now I'm getting the sound of the JCM 800. Alright, so let's go ahead and make that happen here. So what I'm going to do is going to hardware assign. And if you want to add more effects in here, you can totally do that. I just have a basic tube screamer, a rotary effect, maybe for some fun, clean stuff, a compressor, delay, and a reverb. Let's just say, for instance, that we want to have a good ambient patch as well. So let's go ahead and throw in a shimmer sound. And I'll do my preset that I have already called up. And we're also going to do a reverse delay. So we got plenty of effects in there that we can use. And now let's go ahead and go to hardware assign. And I'm just going to basically make the bottom row some scenes, and we can leave the top row open for some, kicking in and out a few different effects if we need to still, okay? So I'm going to hit toggle, and then I'm going to hit again and hit scene, and go to edit. And let's just say we're going to make a clean scene. So I'm going to have the compression on. The rotary is going to be off for this one. The JRC is going to be off. The effects loop is going to be off. The amp is going to be on. Shimmer off, delay, reverse delay off, and delay off, and reverb on. Okay, so going back, I'm going to name this clean. And also let's make it a different color. Let's make it a light purple. Okay. Now the next one, let's make this our ambient patch. So I'll put the rotary in, the shimmer, reverse delay, bucket brigade delay, and reverb. And we're going to have the amp on and the effects loop off. Okay? And we'll also make that light purple. And I'll change the name to wet. Alright. And now my other two scenes are going to be basically a rhythm channel as well as a lead channel. Alright, so I'm going to have the compression off, rotary off, JRC off, effects loop on, amp off, shimmer off, reverse delay off, bucket brigade off, and then air reverb on. And we'll make this one orange. We'll name it amp rhythm. And then we're going to make the last one a scene. Compression off, rotary off, green JRC on, effects loop on, amp off, shimmer off, reverse delay off, delay on, reverb on. So we're going to name this amp lead, and we'll change the color of the orange because we can. Alright, so what's great about this little setup is we still get trails within the rig because we're going from scene to scene, and we're also going to be bypassing some effects as well. So we get all the spillover and stuff that we want from the rig itself. And if we actually switch rigs, we're not going to get spillover in that situation because we do have the effects loop in the signal chain. But once we take that out, we get our tails back. So, alright, so this is scene 1, and I have my Fender amp on, and the amp 1 from Bluguitar is bypassed. Alright, very cool. Here's the wet with some rotary, shimmer, reverse delay, and bucket brigade delay and reverb. Crazy, huh? Now here's the amp rhythm. And the amp lead. me show you what I had to do a little bit. I did have to bring down the send and return of the effects loop on the Headrush. I brought it down just a little bit because I was getting the amp 1 a little bit too loud compared to the gain staging of the Headrush. So when I have this on clean, I went to my amp. I wanted to keep it fairly clean so I don't have the volume up too high. And I also want to make sure my output was good, so I brought up the rig and the 2 amp gain volumes. Alright, because I wanted it as close to that 0 as I could, within reason. And then that way I was able to match the volumes of the amp 1 and the Headrush clean and dirty sounds. Okay. Now you can go a little bit farther with this if you wanted to. Let's just say for our wet effect that I actually wanted to go in and let's put the preset in here that we have. So we have the Fender Lux Dock. Okay. That's for our wet. And then for our clean, let's just say we have a totally different amp in here. We're going to use the tweed bass clean for that one. Okay, you can go extreme. You can go like a Vox clean on one scene, and you can have a JTM 45 clean, or you can have a MS30 clean, whatever you want. Okay, you can do the same thing for if you want to have the dirt channel on your amp, but also have a PV5150 model in the Headrush. You can totally do that between your scenes as well. But here's a clean with a tweed bassman. And then going to clean is the Fender Lux. Alright, pretty cool. Probably want to bring down the volume of this a little bit. Alright, since the amp 1 does have 4 channels, I am going to now put it on the vintage channel. And maybe crank the gain a little bit, and this is what that sounds like. Alright guys, so there you go. If you had any questions about 4-cable method, how can I use my Headrush and my real amplifier at the same time, that's a great suggestion that I think you should do. If you really like the sound of your amp, but also want the flexibility of your Headrush, then just use the 4-cable method and use scenes and bypass the effects loop when you want to use the sound of your Headrush, or have the effects loop in there with the amp bypass, and now you're going to get the sound of your real amp. Alright, so if you haven't done so already, subscribe down below and click the bell so you'll be notified every time I release new videos. If you found this helpful and you think somebody else needs to know this information, go ahead and share the video with them so we can all share the love and be knowledgeable about our gear and how to get the best sound that we can. And if you want to go deeper into music theory, gear, and recording, definitely check out my membership on the website. You can sign up for one cost and get future updates, as many videos as I add in the future, probably for 50 years or more, and just get a lifetime of learning all in one place, drmcfarlandstudios.com. So I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking.